Good afternoon, Mumbai. I'm Ivan Mehta. I'm a consumer tech reporter for TechCrunch. Thank you for being here. Dilip, I want to start with UPI. Obviously, everyone knows UPI, everyone uses UPI. The scale has been tremendous. There are more than 500 million users of UPI, and we're almost reaching like 700 and 750 million plus transactions. Talk to me as you move towards 1 billion transactions per day. How do you get new users? What would the interfaces be look like for them? How are you thinking about that?
So, goes without saying that the AI will be used very effectively, must be used very effectively when we look at the next wave of UPI, and that includes all aspects, including the new users. We must use AI effectively to protect our current citizens, to find fraud, find mules, and variety of things. The AI must be also used to provide the credit to all the users and merchants who have the digital footprints. The AI will provide we must use AI to look at the voice and some of the multilingual simpler options to onboard onto to UPI. We must use AI along with the telecom operators to use the techniques such as the silent mobile verification and those kind of things to ensure that if the person who's in the possession of mobile is doing really doing the transaction. So variety of use cases of AI in a different areas will actually drive the next half a billion on UPI. And I think NPCI along with the ecosystem under the guidance of RBI and the government of India, we have already started driving some of the experimentation on these aspects.
Can you give some example of the interfaces that you're working with? You mentioned voice. How is that working out? How are the new users feeling about this interface? How is it helping them use UPI more and also explore some of the UPI features which might not be as apparent to them?
So, to be honest, it's yet to take off. We work with Servom and a couple of other players to provide the voice-based Hello UPI, but it's yet to take off. And actually, to be honest, we are in the process of identifying the right use case. The accuracy levels are still at 95%. We wanted to go back to 98, 99%. So I think it's very early days on voice as an interface. But I believe that some of the agentic use cases and some of those use cases will actually drive the usage of voice on UPI.
You've shown some of the demos with Razorpay, OpenAI, Claude. Uh, Tell me what stage are we in to drive agentic payments, to drive payments through AI? A lot of big tech companies are talking about commerce.
So agentic is not new to the world now, right? When you look at some of the countries like US has already picked up some of the use cases on agentic. I've heard that the cheaper flight tickets has been a really killer use case for agentic, which actually finds out in the night somewhere during that time the airlines algorithms having the cheapest recalibrate the pricing, and that is the time agentic used to book the tickets. So I think the agentic is for sure going to be really valuable back to the user. It will create value for the user in terms of either saving money or increasing getting the user what the user is not getting in the normal course of business. Where the discovery process is very complex, and also it is also going to add high value to the merchants, because the merchants that are going to take a lead on agenting, opening up their websites or their apps back for the agentic interfaces, I think they're going to get benefit on that. Now, coming back to the question is when the India will adopt in a big way. Yes, RBI did approve the pilot on the agentic and we tried to demonstrate the transaction on the OpenAI and Anthropic front ends, along with our partner Razorpay. But I believe that we must have a regulatory framework for the agentic, and I think Once that's there, we can look at the orderly kind of implementation of use cases in my assessment. So I believe that, I don't know whether it will happen in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, but I believe as a country, we must have an open mind and allow some experimentation, the use case creation using the agentic, because I think it's really creates a leverage for the user and merchant when, using the agentic.
In last few days, I covered things like Robinhood allowing AI agents to trade. I covered Replit, who's here, allowing developers to kind of integrate some of the payments. You mentioned it's good to have the framework. Talk to me about like what are the building blocks required for that, which you feel that would be really important for a safe and secure agentic transaction.
So the reason I spoke about the framework is because we must ensure that we have the risk well protected or well mitigated. And in that process, what could be the transaction amount? Which are the transactions, when user is giving a instruction back to the agent, how from a governance perspective it's recorded, right? Whether it's a human not in the loop, human consenting or human authorizing the transaction. How well the policies are recorded, how well the policies are validated before the debit of the transaction, how the proofs are produced before, if there in case of user complaints, what was the actual instruction and how it is retrieved back from the merchant or acquirer. I think those are the places we need governance places, so that we ensure that we look at the orderly growth. Of course, it's going to be large scale implementation, and AI being AI, it's a undeterministic behavior. But I think the payment system, before we ensure that it is made available back on the payment system, it must be made as much deterministic as much possible, as much clear. The whole the objective of the governance and rules, the governance should be how do we create the rule sets out of the undeterministic instructions of the consumer.
Do you feel for that, what kind of models do we need? And you've talked about your model development journey. Before I jump into it, what kind of models do we need for Indian infrastructure to be more deterministic in this world where AI is non-deterministic?
See, if you look at the global models, right? The global models, today while we see that the Claude models are the best, but again, OpenAI models also competing very hard. There are other models and the Google Meta, Grok, and again, there is a variety of Chinese LLMs who are competing back with them. We have our own sovereign server model for the voice. And I think when you look at these models, most of the global models are going to look very similar, right? When you look at it, I might be wrong, but when you look at it, it might have a smaller difference which will get mitigated over the period. That's what these global big techs are going to try very hard on. Now the question is, what going to be our strategies from an NPCI perspective? And we believe that the models will differentiate from each other basis the data sets which is made available back to them, right? And we have a very rich data set in that sense, and that data set is not public. That data set is not going to be available back to the global models. So I think when we look at a very sharp, specific use cases using our data sets, I think there is a big opportunity for Indian companies, the bank, fintechs and ecosystem to create a small language models which are sharp enough, which are specific, and which has the capability to attach the tool to make it as deterministic possible as what you're talking about. So I believe that, Indian fintech ecosystem, you will see a large amount of what you call small language models, and because it's very difficult for companies like us to play a capex game, right? We will use the game for trying to solve the specific use cases, specific problems, as much close to making it deterministic in that process. And you would have seen our initiatives.
As a body that is in center of all of this, do you have thoughts about creating data sets for some of the initiatives that you mentioned?
So again, the data sets. See, there are privacy issues, and so again, we have on NPCI website now. We have a district level data made available on an aggregated manner, and I think people are free to use that. On an individual transaction set, I don't know. We will have to look at how it goes. But I strongly believe. When you look at we open sourced the model FIMI in the last global fintech festival. So FIMI has been fully developed in last 2 years. I've been talking at MTW now. This is the third year, and I've been talking about we'll create our tech centers in Bombay. I'm very happy to inform that the FIMI is fully architected, designed, developed, and even operated now out of Mumbai of NPCI. So that's again, you could see that it's a first small language model which Mumbai has given back to the country, and we see a good traction, by the way, on that.
Yeah, can you give some numbers on how much resolvement is done?
So for example, we see about 1 million users on a monthly basis. We see about 800-900K mandates being cancelled, and that's all without any publicity. We believe that easily we should be able to see in the next if not next few years, next few months, about 1 million users on a daily basis accessing FIMI to solve for their problems on UPI. And I think it's just a beginning, Ivan. The way we look at it, there will be multiple use cases of FIMI. We have picked up the first use case of UPI help, and that's the first one to drive in the market. But I'm very sure that between NPCI, banks, and ecosystem, we will start seeing multiple such use cases, shard specific, tool-driven use cases for FIMI.
We've mentioned voice a few times. Do you feel that voice can be a great catalyst to solve some of the problems that UPI users face? And how are you thinking about that?
See, again, voice is going to be important. There is no question on that. We being such a deep-rooted, even the WhatsApp, the voice notes are really a high frequency use case for the segment which is 300, 400 million and above. So there is no reason for us to believe otherwise. But again, we need a very sharp solution, very super fast solution back, which has a combination of an edge and the central system. Again, it depends on how are we able to deliver the voice to the user. I still believe that we haven't cracked the right use case which will go on voice, in my assessment.
Got it. There is, you spun off Beam as an entity in 2024. You wanted to also build the app in a way that you wanted to provide use cases and kind of a model to other builders. From a tech perspective, how do you think we can build a more competitive ecosystem of payment apps where more users use diverse set of apps than the current ecosystem?
See, basically, this concentration risk is little different, right? And if I just have to talk about in detail, first of all, there is a choice of 100 apps for the user, right? Unlike the other duopolies or monopolies which we speak about, where there is no choice available, right? So here, while the choice have been made available by the UPI ecosystem of 100 apps, the users specifically are concentrated on 2 apps. I think that's the first premise. So tomorrow, the user intends to use any other app, and basically you will see 99.99% services available on all UPI apps. This is the first point. Second is the switching cost is very low on UPI. You have already set the PIN, you are onboarded. So it's all about just downloading the app and starting to use it. So I think the switching cost is also very, very low. Now the third question is, I believe that there are multiple issues why we see this concentration risk exist. And one of the important reasons is availability of the viable commercial model, right? The moment we see the commercial model being available back to the ecosystem, I believe the newer players will start investing very heavily. You look at it, I'm very sure about this. I don't know exactly the numbers. But I'm sure the PhonePe and GPay must have invested over $1 billion in building what they are, right? And today, like if you look at Navi and other players have to reach to that particular level, right? They'll have to invest that money. And I believe it's possible. I think we are just trying to work on creating that commercial viable model so that the people to come and invest more. Now coming back to the Beam has been fully hived off under the direction of the regulator and RBI. The initial few years, the Beam was supposed to be a starter app. We used it like a innovation center to launch new functions. But there was a thought process that let Beam be a good alternative, right? It's not that we are hoping that, or we are trying as an NPCI group to make Beam as 20%, 30%, but a reasonable value share, reasonable scale Beam is operating. So in any eventuality, we have a sovereign option available back to us. So that's the whole objective, and I think Beam is getting there. You are aware about it's about percent now in terms of market share, and it's a very steady and kind of a steady fast growth what we are seeing on Beam, and hopefully with the leadership team in place now, the Beam will be able to show a good progress in next few years time. But we are not putting a target. We are not saying that we want to be 20%, 30%. We don't have any extraordinary targets. That's not our objective. Objective is to provide a viable, secure, trustworthy, sovereign option which is able to process or which is demonstrating a reasonable scale on a UPI ecosystem.
There's a lot of AI being used in personal finance. ChatGPT launched in the US that you can now link personal accounts and ask for advice. Where do you think India is in terms of adopting such technologies as to, is our framework ready? And do users have enough understanding that what AI can do and not do?
See, basically, again, it depends on. I'm not fully aware about the regulatory policies on this, but I don't We have a plan we have taken a strategy of open source. And one thing I can assure, while we continue building models after models, is we will continue to open source so that the ecosystem is able to take full value of what we are doing today. But you can expect at least 3 or 4 small language models in a different use cases. What we have been talking about in next few months time.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Dilip. Thank you all for listening and have a great evening.